What's up guys, Dylan here and welcome to Advent of Code 2020 Day 9 in Python. If you like this video, find it helpful, please drop a like down below, subscribe for more Advent of Code videos, and let's get into it. Alrighty, so Day 9, encoding error. So our neighbor's happily enjoying our video game, but we are going to connect to a port that gives us a series of numbers. The data is encrypted, but we can unencrypt it. A preamble of 25 numbers. So I guess that would be our first preamble would probably be our first 25 numbers. After that, each number you receive should be the sum of any two of the 25 immediate previous 5 numbers. So if we have our number here, then of the previous 25 numbers, 2 of them should add up to our number. And what is the first number that does not have this property? Okay, let's go ahead and get our input and get started here. So paste that in. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we'll say with open input 9.txt as a file. Cannot type today. And data is going to be equal to file.readLines. And then all of our input is in our numbers today. So we're going to say, when we remove the lines here, we'll say int line.strip for line in data. And so that should give us some ints. Let's print for line in data, print line. And okay, so we have our puzzle input. So the first thing that we are going to do here is we are going to say def get bad number. And the first thing that we need to do, well, we're gonna loop through. So starting at the 25th index. So the first 25 numbers at the beginning are going to be our preamble, and then the 26th number will be the number that we're trying to find, like see if there's a sum for it or not. So we're going to loop from the 26th number to the end because we don't want to check the first 25 numbers. So let's start with writing the loop. So for I in range, start at position 26 or index 25, and we're going to go all the way up to the length of data. And then we can say that our preamble is going to be equal to all the way from I to 25 past I. So that'll be from I, or so right now, actually it's not I to 25 past I. Right now I is already at 25. We want the previous 25. So we're going to say I minus 25 up until I. So this will give us 0 through 24, at least for the first round. And then we can say that the number we're looking for that we're going to be testing is going to be equal to data I. And so what we're going to do now is we're just going to loop through everything and check every single combination and preamble until we find one. So we'll say for j in length of preamble, which we could just do 25, but that's okay. In length, actually in range length of preamble, and for j, just kidding, for k in range length of preamble. And I think this is not quite right yet, so we want to go from 0, and then we'll stop 1 at the end for this variable, and then we'll start at j plus 1. That way we're not adding stuff to itself. and then that'll go all the way to the end. So that'll capture all the numbers. And then we'll say, well, we can say if preamble j plus preamble k is equal to our num. Well, then we found the number. So we need to, that means it's a valid number. Num is valid. So now we can just automatically skip to the next one. So how are we going to do that? Well, we first need to know that our number was found. So we can say found is equal to false, because of course at the beginning we haven't found yet. And then so if we found the number, then found will be equal to true. And then I guess we can break the loop because we don't need to check anymore for this specific number here. So we'll break. But that only breaks this loop. So we need to break the second loop too. So then I guess we can say if found, and so this is for the outer loop, the J loop, then break this loop as well. And so that's the same thing as saying if found is equal to true. Okay, so then that'll break, and then on the very outermost here, we'll say if found is equal to true, then we can continue. Let's see, is that necessary? Yes, I think it is, because if we found a valid number, we need to continue to the next value of I. But if we didn't find a valid number, then we will return the number, because that number is no good. So let's go ahead, let's just see if this works here. So we'll go ahead and say num is equal to getBadNumber, and then print num. So hopefully this works. Hopefully we don't have any syntax errors. And of course we do. Yeah, it never works on the first try. So what's going on here? Preamble is not defined. Oh, what the heck? Okay, so preamble is equal to data, like so. All right, let's try this out here. Go to Advent of Code and paste it in. All right, so that was good for part 1. So now going on to part 2, the final step in breaking the encryption relies on finding a contiguous set of at least two numbers in which the sum is equal to the invalid number from step 1. So if we look here, the invalid number was 127. Okay, and then I guess these four numbers will add up to 127. So we want to find a list of numbers, of continuous numbers from the input that add up to this number here. So, okay, so let's just go ahead and say def, well, of course, label part 2. So let's say def get, I don't know, let's just call it get key because it's breaking the encryption. So def get key, bad num is going to be equal to get bad number. So that'll just get us the correct value from before. And so now we will loop for I. And these loops are going to be very similar to the loops from the previous function. So for I in range, length of data -1, and for j in range, length of, well, we'll start with I plus 1, and length of data, whoops, man, I cannot type today, and length of data, and then we will say well, let's have, so every time we're going to have a list of nums. So here's our continuous numbers, and we'll start by adding data I, and then we'll add nums, so nums.append our current number, which would be nums j, and then we'll have a couple cases here. So first, let's look at the case if the sum of nums is equal to our bad number, then we'll go ahead and say, we'll use the same method as before. So we'll say found is equal to false on the outside here. Now all of a sudden found is equal to true, and break the loop. And then on the outermost again, we'll say if found is equal to true. If found is equal to true, break the loop again, because that means nums is the correct continuous list. But then we also have the case, what if we add a number and now it's greater than our bad number? So if we say if sum, or else if sum of nums is greater than bad num, then this is not good. We just need to start back over at the we just need to start shifting and start over again. So we'll just say break with found is still going to be equal to false. All right, so now we're out of the loop. We found our number, and it wants us to return, what does it want us to return? It wants us to return the sum of the smallest and largest number from the list. Okay, so assuming we have our correct list now, we can just return min of nums plus max of nums. And let's see what we get here. Oh, let's call our function, of course. And so now we'll just say print get key and run. And what do we got here? List index out of range. What's going on here? And we've called nums.append numsj, so that should be data of j. And this might be your answer. Let's go ahead and check on the website. And there we have it, a quick one today. So if you like this video or find it helpful, please drop a like down below, subscribe for more, leave any questions or comments, and I will see you tomorrow for day 10.